everyone, and welcome to today's live stream with Keep Indiana Learning, a department of CISD. My name is Jessica Miller, and I'm a professional learning specialist with the Keep Indiana Learning team. I primarily support K-12 instructional coaching and elementary math, and I am so excited that you've joined us today for our session focused on the impact of student-centered coaching. This session today is a part of our student-centered coaching, the workshop preview series. If you haven't heard yet, we have our student-centered coaching workshop coming up in September. We would love to have you join us on September 9th and 10th. We will drop the website down at the bottom of the screen so you can get more information and register. Just a heads up, we do have early bird pricing happening until June 1st. So depending on when you're watching this live stream, you might be able to get a little bit of savings there. As I mentioned, this is one of 3 sessions in our series leading up to our September workshop. And again, we're excited for you to join us. Our event in September is being held in partnership with Keep Indiana Learning and the Center of Excellence in Leadership of Learning. And I am so excited today to have 2 guests with us. I have with us Jessica Parson and Kassy Morales from CEL. CEL is an organization within UIndy that impacts the entire educational ecosystem by building educators' capacity, spearheading school-wide policy and practice changes, creating environments for collaboration, and promoting evidence-based practices in education. So Jessica and Kassy, thank you for being with us. Let's take a minute just to introduce yourselves. Kassy, could you go first, please?
Absolutely. My name is Kassy Morales, and I am a literacy specialist at CEL. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hi, I am Jessica Parson, and I'm also a literacy specialist at CEL. Thanks for having us.
We are so glad that you are here, and we'll jump straight into our session for today. So the first thing that I'd love to know, and Jess, why don't you start us off this time? Could you talk with us a little bit about what that role is, and also anything you've noticed or seen through the lens of the impact of the implementation of student-centered coaching across schools and districts?
Yes, Kassy and I have the privilege of working with Indiana elementaries across the state of Indiana, which is so impactful. So with student-centered coaching, we've actually seen significant increases in iRead scores broadly. So that is the first thing. And then also we've seen increase in teacher confidence, increase in teacher capacity, increase in data-driven culture because of student-centered coaching. I would say also gone are the days of drive-by coaching, if you will. Also teacher fixing and that mentality with some of the other models of coaching that comes with it. So with student-centered coaching, what we've seen is the impact of really using student data to drive this coaching and giving, this framework to really dive into this evidence-based way of coaching and really focusing on student achievement, because at the end of the day, that's what we're all here for, right? Student achievement.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Such powerful stuff. And Kassy, is there anything you want to add to that about your role and the impacts you've seen?
Yeah, I would agree 100%. The difference with student-centered coaching is it really puts the student first. And so looking at student data, not just teacher data overall or classroom data. So it takes the pressure off of the teacher, for lack of a better word, and really looks at the students and then meets their individual needs, which is nice. And so when we're looking at student data, we're actually looking at each individual student, which is why we feel that there's been so much success in the schools across Indiana, because we're looking at individual student data to drive the instruction.
Such powerful stuff. And I know from my experience too with student-centered coaching, just the importance of making sure that we're putting students first. And like you both said, really thinking about what is that student data showing us? What can they do now? What are they ready for next? How are we going to help grow? And I think that piece of really partnership with teachers too, right? That we're shifting this mindset. And Jess, I think you said it, we're shifting away from this idea of fixing teachers to this idea of we are in partnership with you as a coach. And our purpose in that partnership is to help grow students and to help them to achieve the learning goals that we're setting for them and ultimately do well in their lives and on all of our testing work. So really, really powerful stuff.
And I would also just add that in the past, and we talk about iRead scores, right? We have had some schools that their only iRead kind of practice was drill and kill. And we would go back over, iRead practice. And I think with student-centered coaching, we've really opened up this idea, not just for iRead, but iLearn and any sort of assessment that really goes back to what you just said, Jess, which is what do they know? What are they ready for? And how do we meet those needs? And so gone are the days of that drill and kill, and didn't see results with that. And we wonder why, right? With the student-centered coaching, we've really partnered with those teachers to get the maximum impact and student achievement that we can get with students, because we are using that student data and that evidence to drive, instruction.
Absolutely. And we're seeing those results, right? Like you said, we're seeing some increase in scores. We're seeing that what we're doing is, or what's happening in schools that are embracing student-centered coaching is working, which is so exciting. I'd love to know then a little bit, as leaders then of student-centered coaching and the work that's been happening, what have you noticed about what it really takes for schools or districts to find success with student-centered coaching? And Kassy, would you start us off, please?
Sure, absolutely. I guess when I think about that, I just think that it's kind of like any other initiative that we have, a new curriculum, a new district-wide initiative, that it really does take all that buy-in from the teachers and the administrators and the school as a whole. And so one of the main mind shifts that people have to go through is just kind of understanding that the goal of student-centered coaching isn't to fix the teacher, like Jessica said. It's more to work alongside that teacher, to make instructional decisions together, and to really use that student data to make those instructional decisions. It's so collaborative, like you were saying, Jess. It's just bring the teacher and the coach together. But in schools that we've noticed where student-centered coaching is most successful is where there is this really strong use of multiple data sources. And so sometimes it's just that really big universal screener. So they give NWEA and they use that throughout the whole year. Well, students can grow a whole lot from the fall till the winter if that's the only data we're using. And so with student-centered coaching, there's lots of different data points that they're using, like diagnostic assessments, progress monitoring, things like that. Then they use that data to inform learning targets and really to make sure that their coaching cycles are student and data driven. And I would say we talk about this all the time internally, Jessica and I do with our partners across the state, is really another critical success factor is that partnership between the coach and the principal. If that partnership is not there, it really doesn't work as well. And it really is not just a friendship or like we get along really well. It's more of the coach being the supporter and the principal being behind that coach, kind of moving the initiative along and making sure everyone has that buy-in. That leadership of the principal is just a pivotal role in creating the conditions where student-centered coaching really can thrive. And without that, it doesn't work as well. But ultimately, that impact of both the teacher and their practice, the coach, and the principal all together, that's where we see the student outcomes that are just growing and improving across the state.
Yes. Sorry, I was just going to say, expand on that a little bit with the coach-principal relationship. And student-centered coaching and all of the books that we read that come along with this talk about it explicitly, but we have seen it firsthand, is pressure and support. And we actually use those terms with the schools that we partner with, and having that strong principal pressure so the coach can be that support. And so you might be thinking, what does that principal pressure actually look like? And so what it means, in a successful school means not only understanding what the coach's role is, but also allowing the entire school to know what the coach's role is, and setting very clear expectations for how teachers are going to engage with that coach, how the school is going to embrace the coach's work, how often that is going to happen, what the expectations are for who is going to engage, what the cycles are going to look like, all of those kinds of things, teacher participation. And then that principal also creates systems to protect that coach's role so that the coach can coach. And so we have seen principals come to us and say, in the past we had our coach, they just wanted to help so much. And so they wore so many hats, and they would come and try to do all the things. They would help with anything we asked them to. But what we realized as a principal was when we took all of that away and created systems so they could only focus on coaching, that is when we saw the results. And so taking out all of those, other administrative responsibilities and taking away substitute teaching and all of the other things that happen, in a real working school that we know pop up, and allowing that coach to truly be the support and truly be the partner and focus on those cycles and have the bulk of their work being that, that's when we see those student results, just really take off. So pressure, support, critical, good relationship, same page. They have to understand what's happening, and that partnership will really drive.
Yeah, and so that partnership, and I'm sorry, Kassy, go ahead.
Absolutely, because I think what it comes down to, it made me think about when Jessica was talking, is that like when we go into any school, there's a principal, and we know what the principal does. There's an assistant principal, there's a counselor, there's a teacher, like we know what those roles are. And then there's an instructional coach, and it's like, what is that? And so when you go from school to school, that can look really different. And I feel with student-centered coaching, there is this goal of this is what we're doing. There's a structure that goes in place. And so it just kind of opens that up. And with that principal role behind, so at the beginning of the year, just opening it up to at the beginning of the year staff meeting or whatever it might be, explaining the role of the coach, the support that that coach can give to the teachers, that just makes it so much more clear, especially if they're a brand new coach. There's never been coaching in their building. It's kind of a clean slate, but this is what this person's going to be doing, not making your copies or watching your class as you use the restroom. Like they have a purpose and a vision. But then also if it's a coach that's been coaching for a long time, I had the privilege of coaching in 2 different districts, and not that I didn't do good work, but it was definitely, I wish I had more of a structure that student-centered coaching would give me, instead of like that teacher fixing kind of mentality and that kind of thing. And so relationships are still there, student-centered coaching, all those things are still there, but it just gives it more of a structure to the process. And it just that clear vision from the principal helps the whole year go that much better.
Wonderful. Some words that were popping up as you both were talking was a little bit then of like clarity and commitment. Clarity around what is this role? What does it look like? Making it clear for everyone, both, the coach themselves, what do we expect of you? The teachers in the building, the students in the building, the leaders in the building, making sure that we understand really what is the purpose of this person and the role that they're serving. And then also that commitment, the commitment to protect time, the commitment to live into the role, the commitment to maintain a student-centered stance, right? Really ensuring that we are both being clear and we are being committed to the specific design of student-centered coaching work.
Yes. And one other success factor that I did want to mention that we see in schools that have really embraced this model and seen a lot of student growth would be to get messy and get your feet wet. And so this is something that we definitely encourage. If this is a new model, or you've had coaches before, or you've never had coaches before, it is not perfect out the gate. It never will be. And so giving it a go and just trying and jumping right in and trying, with a teacher that you trust, or just giving the RBCT, the results-based coaching tool, could be overwhelming at first if you haven't looked at it. But giving it a go and taking that standards and looking and trying that cycle out is the best way to learn. And so with every cycle and every time that you try it, you're just refining your practice, and having that pressure, from the principal, along with that support and meeting with your principal to continue to refine that practice is the best way to kind of go through it. We've noticed that sometimes if coaches drag their feet a bit, then the momentum can be lost. So as Kassy was saying, if the principal does a really nice job at the beginning of the year, setting those expectations at that first staff meeting, and it's slow to start from the coach, some of that momentum, can be lost. So get going right away. And then that can last all year long. As Kassy said, with that help of that principal, keeping it going. And then, as the years go on, you just keep getting better and better.
Absolutely. I think when we embrace that learner mindset too, right, as coaches, that we can jump in, we can try, we're going to grow along the way. That piece that you just mentioned, that was so powerful about building that momentum and then leaning into it. And let's just get started, see how it goes. We know that this model is evidence-based, so, we can lean on that, right? We can trust the process. We can trust the work that has been done to put these tools, these structures, these systems in place that you each have talked about, and really lean in, get moving, and just grow throughout the process as we get better and better with that work.
Right.
So we know that we have a workshop coming up in September, September 9th and 10th here in Indianapolis. And again, we'll put the website on the screen for you here. It is kindle.cc/scc-workshop. There it is for you. This is where you can register and get all the information that you might want about our upcoming workshop. I'd love to know from the two of you, what excites you most about this upcoming workshop and its potential to maybe deepen or expand the work of student-centered coaching. And Jess, why don't we start with you?
Yeah. As Kassy mentioned, I had the privilege of doing some instructional coaching work prior to this role as well. And in my reflection, I really do wish that I had more of a structure as student-centered coaching in my work, because in thinking about it, it was more of a teacher fixing. It was evidence-based, but it was much more about the teacher. And what I do find with student-centered coaching, and what excites me, is it goes right back to that student and focuses on that. And we know that in every classroom across Indiana and the country, there are students that are struggling. And so it's not about teacher fixing. It's not about veteran teachers. It's not about new teachers. It's not about what role you have in the school. Coaching is for all, because it is about students and about how to grow all the students that are sitting in our classrooms across the state. So really thinking about that and going back to that student-centered, again, grounded in evidence. And as you said, Jess, that this whole method is evidence-based. So getting back to what works is really exciting, giving folks a chance to walk alongside teachers, and coming from a space of intentionality, not just a resource grabber. While resources are fundamental and very helpful and necessary, it's just much more than that. It's very intentional. And I also get excited knowing that through this work, all of us, including coaches, teachers, everyone involved, are deepening our understanding of standards, are deepening our understanding of evidence-based instructional strategies. Through cycles, we're understanding what's effective, what's not effective, what works for certain kinds of kids, for certain learning styles, how we can continue to move the needle. And through each of these cycles, we're continuing to meet the needs for all kids that are in front of us. And so it gets me jazzed. It gets me fired up, because this is what our students need and deserve.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited too for this opportunity for coaches and administrators to come to this, because I do feel like sometimes instructional coaching can be a lonely place to be. And so if you're the only person there and you have this vision and your principal has a vision, but you were just a classroom teacher and you're friends with all the teachers around you still, and you don't really know what your role is, this workshop will help you have other people that you can lean in on. I'm sure connections will be made. We have noticed that through our work, that there's coaches are connecting with each other that would have never met each other, even across the state. And so that piece of it, I think, will be good, just because it's so good to talk through what you're doing and to talk through it with somebody that gets it, but that may have a different environment that they're working in. And so for us, seeing student-centered coaching work in little tiny rural schools and huge urban districts and you name it across the state. And so that knowing that this model works for everybody, and to bring coaches together across the state that are coming from different environments and also from different levels of understanding coaching. I'm just excited to kind of make sure everyone has that place of learning and growing and becoming a better coach for their students ultimately, which is what our ultimate goal is.
You guys are getting me excited about the workshop too. I can't wait. It's going to be such a powerful couple days. I do think as we kind of start to wrap up here, it's going to be a powerful experience for that connection building, for that clarity building, for just helping coaches who are looking for a system or a structure to really elevate their coaching work and take it to the next level. I do want to make sure to mention that, again, September 9th and 10th here in Indianapolis is the workshop. Additionally, we have level 1 and level 2 options for this workshop. So if you're a brand new student-centered coaching, you'll find a place in level 1. If you have been utilizing student-centered coaching and you want to continue to grow in your work, level 2 is built and designed just for you. We also encourage you to come as an individual or also with a team of people. We think regardless, we'll build some connections for you and help you make sure that you find some coaches where you'll be able to continue to network and grow. As a reminder, we do have early bird pricing that ends June 1st. So if you're watching this before June 1st, make sure you take advantage of that pricing. And if you have any questions about the workshop, feel free to email us at keepindianalearning@cisc.org. This show and the rest of the series will remain available on the Keep Indiana Learning YouTube channel. And Kassy and Jess, thank you so much for being here. It was so much fun to talk with you. And everyone else, thank you for joining us. And we hope to see you in September.